The October wind rattled the loose panes of my apartment window, carrying the kind of chill that seeps straight into your bones. I sat curled on the edge of a sagging couch, the glow of my phone screen the only light in the room. My fingers hovered above the keys, trembling with exhaustion after 3 sleepless nights spent nursing my daughter, Lily. She was finally resting in the bedroom down the hall, her breathing shallow but even, a faint melody against the silence. The air smelled faintly of cough syrup and lavender detergent, a poor disguise for the fear pressing down on me. Please, just this once. That was the silent prayer behind every word I typed. The message wasn't for a friend or even family. It was for Daniel Cruz, Lily's father, and the man who had perfected the art of vanishing whenever bills came due. 3 months of unpaid support, 3 months of unanswered calls. My rent deadline stared back at me from the calendar pinned crookedly to the wall. I typed out the number, 1200, and begged him to remember his daughter. Begged him to remember us. I hit send, my pulse quickening with the familiar cocktail of dread and hope. Then before doubt could stop me, I added a second message, a reckless bluff about money he'd bragged of earning from some dangerous job. Words I should never have typed. Words that felt like lighting a match in a room full of gasoline fumes. I set the phone down, pressing both hands to my temples as the radiator hissed in the corner, barely fighting the creeping cold. Then came the buzz. A reply, not from Daniel. 3 words that froze my blood. Who is this? The response came faster than I could steady my breath. Another message, sharper this time. What job with Moretti? My stomach tightened. Moretti. The name Daniel had muttered once in anger, a name I'd never understood but always feared. I should have stayed silent, deleted the thread, thrown the phone across the room. Instead, exhaustion betrayed me. My thumbs tapped out a reply, clumsy, dangerous. My ex works for someone with that name. I must have confused you with him. I'm sorry. 3 dots appeared, vanished, returned. Then the demand. Your name. Now. The apartment suddenly felt smaller, walls closing in, shadows lengthening as if listening. I pressed the phone to my chest, trying to ground myself in the sound of Lily's soft breathing from the bedroom. But the buzzing wouldn't stop. Another message lit the screen, currently Westbrook Avenue. Apartment 3B, my address. My pulse lurched into panic. I hadn't typed it. I hadn't told them. And then came the one line that made my knees weaken. Your daughter is resting easier tonight. Fever's down. The phone slipped from my hands, clattering to the floor. They knew about Lily. They knew everything. I stumbled to the window, parting the blinds with shaking fingers. The rain-slicked street below reflected neon and amber, empty but for parked cars. Then headlights cutting through the downpour. A black SUV slid to the curb, its engine purring. Another followed, then another, until the block was sealed in a fortress of tinted glass and silent engines. The buzzing came again, final and cold. Open the door, Elena. Heavy footsteps echoed in the stairwell, deliberate and unhurried, each one louder than the last. The thin chain lock on my door suddenly looked laughable, a toy against whoever waited outside. My phone buzzed once more. I'm not here to hurt you or Lily, but we need to talk about Daniel. I stood frozen in the dark, the weight of those words crushing me. Somehow I already knew there would be no turning back from this night. My daughter has nothing to do with this. The words left my mouth steadier than I felt, even as every instinct screamed at me to shield Lily from the storm I had accidentally unleashed. I moved instinctively, placing myself between the tall stranger and the hallway that led to my daughter's room. It was a futile gesture. One look at him told me he could snap the flimsy chain lock and walk through my defenses without breaking stride. The man, Moretti he had named himself, didn't move. He simply filled the space with his presence, a silhouette of tailored power, his voice steady and uncompromising. I'm afraid you're mistaken. The moment Daniel chose to betray me, he dragged everyone connected to him into the fire. You, your child, none of you are beyond reach now. He gestured toward the couch. Sit. It wasn't a suggestion. I obeyed, sinking onto the frayed cushions, but I sat perched on the edge, ready to run even though I had nowhere to go. Moretti didn't join me. Instead, he moved to the window, pulling the blinds back just enough to glance at the street below. I already knew what he'd see. Those black SUVs still waiting, silent sentinels in the rain. Daniel Cruz worked under me for 3 years, Moretti said, his tone flat, clinical, as if reciting a report. He was no one of consequence. A courier. Numbers, deliveries. He didn't know enough to matter until 6 weeks ago. I swallowed hard, the dread twisting deeper. Until he stole something. His gaze snapped back to me, those eyes sharp as broken glass. Not just stole, he copied. And he tried to sell it to my enemies. Information with the power to collapse networks I've spent decades building. Information that, in the wrong hands, would bury me, and anyone even remotely tied to me. A bitter laugh slipped from my throat before I could stop it. That sounds exactly like Daniel. Always scheming, always convinced he's too clever to get caught. But I haven't seen him in months, except for his texts when he wants more time, more excuses. Whatever he's doing with your secrets, I am not part of it. In 2 strides, Moretti was across the room. He lifted a framed photograph from the bookshelf, Lily on my shoulders at the park, both of us laughing, her face smeared with melted ice cream. His fingers traced the frame with unnerving gentleness. "You have a beautiful daughter," he murmured. "She has your smile." My blood ran cold at the way he studied her face. "Please," I whispered. "I am not threatening her," he said, setting the photo down carefully. "I am explaining why you are already in this, whether you like it or not. Daniel's actions painted a target on both your backs, and I am not the only one hunting him." "What do you mean?" He sank into the armchair opposite me, leaning forward, his forearms resting on his knees. The posture was casual, but every inch of him radiated control. "The data he stole doesn't just compromise me. It compromises men who make me look like a saint. 3 other organizations are scouring the city for him, and if they cannot find him, they will turn to the people he values most." I hugged myself, shivering though the room was warm. "I told you I don't know where he is." "I believe you," he said calmly. "But they will not, and they will not ask politely." A short, hysterical laugh broke from me. "This is polite? Black cars outside, armed men in the stairwell, barging into my home and terrifying me and my daughter? If I meant to terrify you, you would already know it." His tone was matter-of-fact, not a boast, which somehow made it worse. "Those cars outside, they are not just intimidation. They are protection, against others who would happily take what Daniel stole, and use your child to do it." I shook my head, gripping my knees to keep from breaking apart. "Why are you telling me this? If you already believe I don't know where he is, then what do you want from me?" Moretti's gaze slid to the darkened hallway where Lily slept. "Because you are the only tether Daniel has left. He may not care for many things, but his daughter," he let the implication hang, "is leverage even he cannot ignore." Rage flared through me, enough to burn away the fear for a heartbeat. I shot to my feet. "You're not using Lily as bait." He rose too, fluid, towering over me until I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. His voice was soft, but it carried the weight of command. "I am offering you protection. For both of you. Because if the Bratva get to him first, they won't hesitate to use your child, and their methods will make mine look merciful." The word hit me like a bullet. Bratva. Russian Mafia. I had heard enough stories to know what that meant. "What exactly are you proposing?" I asked, hating the tremor in my voice. "You and your daughter come with me tonight. I will move you to a secure location. You will reach out to Daniel. Tell him you need to see him, that the child is asking for him. He will come for that. And if I refuse, then I walk away, take my men with me, and leave you unguarded for whoever comes knocking next." The image of faceless men tearing my daughter from her bed seared through me. My gaze darted to the window. The black SUVs no longer looked like threats. They looked like walls, thin, fragile walls against something far worse. My throat tightened. "I need to think." "You have 5 minutes," he said, checking his watch. "Pack what you need. Clothes for a few days, nothing more." As if on cue, a soft cry echoed from the hallway. "Mommy." Moretti's gaze flicked toward Lily's door. "Go to her. But remember, this is not just about Daniel anymore. It's about keeping your daughter alive. Mommy." The small, wavering voice yanked me from the whirlpool of fear inside my chest. I hurried down the hallway, my pulse thundering. Lily sat up in bed. Mr. Bunny clutched against her chest, her cheeks flushed from sleep. Her curls stuck to her damp forehead. I smoothed them back gently, forcing a smile. "I'm here, sweetheart. How do you feel?" "My throat hurts," she whispered, her voice rasping. "And who's talking out there? Just—" "A friend of Mommy's," I said, hating the lie even as it left my lips. "But listen, we have to take a little trip, okay? Just for a few days." Her wide eyes lit with a fragile kind of hope. "Like a vacation?" I swallowed the knot in my throat. Something like that. I crossed to her dresser, pulling out jeans, a sweater, and socks with trembling hands. Lily watched me, her little brow furrowed. "Is Daddy coming?" The question struck like a blade. Despite everything, despite the absence and the broken promises, she still asked for him. She still loved him. "Maybe," I whispered. "We'll see." Her small arms wrapped around my neck as I helped her dress. I packed quickly. Her medicine, her favorite book, the tattered pajamas she refused to sleep without. And of course, Mr. Bunny. Every moment felt surreal, like I was floating through someone else's nightmare. When we emerged, Moretti was waiting by the window, murmuring into an earpiece. His eyes softened, barely, when they landed on Lily. She shrank behind my leg, peeking up at him with unfiltered curiosity. "Hello, Lily," he said, his voice gentler than I'd yet heard it. He crouched to her level, his presence still immense even when diminished. "My name is Marco. I'm going to help you and your mom for a while." She blinked at him, sizing him up. "Are you a doctor?" "Mommy said I'm sick." A ghost of a smile curved his lips. "No, but I know some very good doctors. They'll help you feel better." She considered this, then nodded solemnly. "Okay, but Mr. Bunny comes too." "Of course." His gaze lifted to mine. "Do you have what you need?" I held up the duffel bag, the seams straining from how much I had crammed inside. "Enough for a few days." "Good. Then we leave now." Anton, the towering shadow who had lingered outside my apartment door, opened it silently. The hallway stretched before us, every flickering bulb suddenly ominous. Lily's hand gripped mine tightly as we descended the stairs, Moretti leading, Anton behind. Bookends or prison guards. "Where are we going?" I asked as we neared the lobby. "Somewhere secure," he replied without looking back. The night air hit like ice as we stepped outside. Rain had stopped, but the streets glistened. Neon and street lamps mirrored in puddles. One SUV idled directly in front of the building, headlights off, engine humming. Two men stood sentinel beside it, their eyes scanning every shadow. Lily froze at the sight. "Mommy, I'm scared." I crouched quickly, brushing her curls back. "It's just a car, baby. A fancy one, like in the movies. Remember we said adventure?" Her lip trembled, but she nodded bravely. I lifted her into the SUV and climbed in after her. The door closed with a heavy finality that reverberated through my chest. Inside, the vehicle smelled of leather and steel, polished and expensive. Lily curled on my lap, clinging to Mr. Bunny. Moretti slid in beside us, his presence filling the confined space. "Take us home," he told the driver. The word, home, made my stomach twist. The convoy pulled away, one SUV ahead, another trailing, the others dispersing like shadows, vanishing into the night. "This is kidnapping," I whispered, my voice shaking. His gaze cut to mine, sharp but steady. "This is protection. If I meant to kidnap you, you wouldn't have had time to pack." The silence that followed was heavy. Only the low hum of the engine and Lily's breathing filled it. After a while I spoke, unable to stop myself. "What was on that drive? What could possibly be worth all this?" His jaw tightened, the faintest flicker of tension in a man otherwise carved from stone. Names, locations, accounts, enough to dismantle my networks. Enough to ensure my family and my people bleed. I shifted Lily against my chest, her small body limp with sleep. "And you think Daniel will just hand it back?" "No," he said simply. "But he will come for you. For her." His gaze flicked to Lily. "And when he does, I'll take back what belongs to me." I bit back the retort, clawing up my throat. Bait. That's what we were. But the truth was colder, sharper. I needed him. Because if the Bratva found Daniel first, they would come for us too, and their leash would be made of blood. The SUV turned off the main road, rolling through an imposing gate flanked by stone pillars. The long driveway curved past manicured lawns until the mansion emerged from the dark like a fortress of glass and steel. "Welcome to my home," Moretti said as the car stopped in the circular drive. "For now, it's yours too." The words chilled me more than the night air. The interior was what I expected, and nothing like I imagined. Soaring ceilings, marble floors, art that whispered of fortunes beyond my comprehension. But there was restraint too, a deliberate elegance that spoke of control rather than vanity. A woman appeared as we entered, her hair silver, her eyes sharp. "Marco," she said with familiar affection. Her gaze shifted to me, then Lily in my arms. The East Suite is ready. Thank you, Rosa. He touched her shoulder briefly, then gestured to me. This is Elena and her daughter. They'll be staying here for now. Rosa's expression gave nothing away. The child is ill? Recovering from a fever, I answered quickly. Dr. Vassal will come in the morning, Marco said. Until then, Rosa will show you to your rooms. I hesitated, looking at him. And then what? Then we plan, he said simply. But for tonight, rest. You're safe here. Safe. The word echoed hollow in my chest. Rosa guided us up the sweeping staircase, down a hall lined with paintings, and into a suite larger than my entire apartment. A sitting room flowed into a bedroom draped in luxury. Through a side door was another smaller bedroom. For the little one, Rosa said. But tonight she stays with you? Yes, I whispered, laying Lily down gently. She stirred, curling around Mr. Bunny, then slipped back into sleep. Rosa returned with cool cloths, fresh pajamas, and a calm efficiency that steadied me. Tomorrow we will arrange proper clothes. Tonight rest. She left us alone. The door clicked softly shut, and for the first time since the knock at my door, silence filled the air. I sat on the bed beside my daughter, smoothing her hair, watching her breathe. My chest ached with the question that had haunted me all night. What happens when Daniel walks back into our lives? And what will it cost to keep her safe? Morning came too quickly. Pale light filtered through gauzy curtains, painting the suite in muted gold. I had barely slept, drifting in and out of uneasy dreams, always waking to check Lily's breathing. She stirred now, blinking sleepily before sitting up with Mr. Bunny clutched in her arms. Is this a hotel, Mommy? She asked. Her voice still raspy but stronger than last night. She padded to the window in oversized silk pajamas Rosa had left, tugging the curtain back to reveal manicured lawns and hedges clipped into precise shapes. It's pretty. Something like that, I said softly, unsure what else to tell her. A knock came at the door, making my heart jolt. Rosa entered, carrying a tray of fruit, croissants, and a steaming pot that smelled of cocoa. Breakfast for the little one, she explained, setting it down. Her sharp eyes softened a fraction when they landed on Lily. The doctor will be here shortly. Instant tension flared in me. I'm not leaving her side. Rosa met my gaze with the calm of someone who had raised countless storms and survived them all. The doctor is here for her, but Mr. Moretti will require your attention as well. As if on cue, another knock followed. A man entered with a leather bag slung at his side. He was middle-aged, with kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses and an accent that lilted faintly Eastern European. Good morning, I'm Dr. Vassal. He smiled at Lily. And you must be my patient. May I listen to your chest, young lady? She tilted her head, then nodded. If Mr. Bunny can watch. Of course. The doctor listened carefully, asked her questions, and examined her throat with the gentleness of someone who knew how to win a child's trust. Afterward, he straightened, addressing me. A mild infection. Nothing serious. Antibiotics will clear it quickly. Relief swept through me like a tide. Thank you, I whispered. Rosa will see to the medication, he said, closing his bag. You have nothing to worry about. As Rosa and the doctor fussed over Lily's breakfast tray, another voice entered the room. Elena. Moretti stood in the doorway. Casual today. Dark jeans, a fitted sweater that still managed to look expensive, but his presence remained the same, commanding, inescapable. May I borrow you for a moment? Every instinct screamed to refuse, but Rosa's quiet nod reassured me. I'll stay with the child, she said. Go. I bent down to Lily. I'll be right back, baby. Be good for Rosa. She nodded, already distracted by the cocoa and croissants. I followed Moretti down the hall, memorizing every turn, every door, as if escape were more than a fantasy. He led me into a study lined with dark wood shelves and leather chairs, the air thick with the scent of tobacco and something faintly metallic. He moved behind a desk, sliding a folder across it. My men searched Daniel's apartment this morning. My stomach dropped. And he opened the folder, revealing photographs spread across polished wood. My breath froze. Lily at the park. At preschool. In front of our apartment. Some with me, some without. My daughter captured from angles that made my skin crawl. What is this? My voice cracked. Your ex has been watching you, or hiring others to do it. Moretti's jaw tightened. He placed another photo on the pile. This one of stern-faced men in suits guarded by hulking shadows. And these, he said, tapping them, are Petrov and Banov, Russians, the Bratva, men who would pay well for what Daniel stole. I staggered back a step, knees weak. I don't understand. Why would he have photos of Lily with theirs? Because he was planning something. A leverage exchange. A distraction. Maybe both. Either way, your daughter was part of his calculations. That's insane, I whispered, shaking my head. Daniel is selfish, but he wouldn't. Moretti's gaze cut through me. The same man who abandoned you, who ignored his sick child, who dragged your name into his debts? Tell me again what he would not do. Tears burned my eyes. The images blurred, my hands trembling as I clutched the edge of the desk. You're lying. You planted these. To what end? His voice was calm, reasoned. I could have taken you last night and never explained. I don't need fabrications to force your cooperation. I had no answer, only the hollow weight of betrayal settling like lead in my chest. There's more, he said quietly. He reached beneath the desk and set a small pink backpack on top. My knees buckled. It was Lily's, one she had outgrown a year ago. I unzipped it with shaking hands. Inside lay her passport, a change of clothes, her favorite bedtime book, and an envelope thick with cash. He was going to take her, I whispered, bile rising in my throat. He was going to run. Or use her as a shield, Moretti said. Either way, he was prepared. My legs gave out. I sank into a chair, pressing my palms to my face. For months I had begged Daniel to be more involved, more present, and all the while he had been watching us, planning to steal the one thing I loved most. What happens now? I asked hoarsely. Now, Moretti said, his voice steady. You help me find him before others do. You will call him. Tell him you know. Tell him you found the passport, the bag. That you will not stay silent, and then he will come to you for her. And I will be waiting. I looked at him through blurred vision. And if I help you, you'll let us go? Give us new names, a new life? His gaze held mine, unblinking. Yes, if you give me Daniel Cruz, you and your daughter disappear. Safe, untouchable. The words struck something deep inside me. For the first time, safety felt possible, but only if I paid the price. I sat frozen in the leather chair, staring at the backpack, the cash, the photos spread across Moretti's desk. The weight of betrayal crushed my chest until breathing felt impossible. Call him, Moretti repeated, sliding his sleek phone toward me. Use mine, untraceable, he won't know it's me. My fingers hovered above the device, trembling. If I do this, I want guarantees. Written, not just your word. One of his eyebrows lifted slightly, as though impressed. You're negotiating with me? I'm a mother protecting her child, I snapped, surprising even myself with the steel in my voice. You said you respected that. So prove it. For a long moment he studied me. Then he pulled a sheet of paper from the desk drawer, scrawled several lines in elegant script and signed with a flourish. When he slid it across, my hands shook as I read. A promise of new identities, financial support, and protection in exchange for cooperation. It was probably worthless in court. But I had the feeling this man valued his signature more than most valued blood. I tucked the paper into my pocket, then picked up the phone. My thumb hesitated before pressing the numbers from memory. The line clicked, and on the second ring, his voice answered, hoarse, wary. Hello? It's me, a sharp inhale. Elena, what number is this? Where are you? Somewhere safe, I said, forcing calm into my tone. I found the bag, Daniel. The passport. Lily's things. What were you planning? Silence stretched so long I thought he might hang up. Then came the oily tone I knew too well. It's not what you think. I was just preparing. In case you needed to kidnap our daughter and disappear. My voice cut like glass. You don't understand, he hissed. The people I'm dealing with, Petrov, Banov? I threw the names like weapons. Moretti's gaze flicked up, satisfied. Another pause. Who told you that? You don't get to ask questions, I snapped. I know everything, and I know you've been watching us. My voice cracked. Your own daughter, Daniel. How could you? He muttered something low and frantic. I cut across him. If you want to see Lily again, you'll meet me, tonight, 8 o'clock. Bluebird Coffee on Riverside. That's too public, he protested. Exactly, I said coldly. Public or no deal. For a moment I thought he'd refuse. Then came a bitter exhale. Fine, but just you. Not Lily. As if I'd let you near her, I said, venom lacing each word. 8 o'clock, Daniel. Don't be late. Before he could respond, I ended the call. My hand shook as I set the phone down, my pulse racing so fast I could hear it in my ears. "Well done," Moretti murmured. "That wasn't an act," I whispered. Everything I said was true. He stepped closer, studying me with an intensity that made my breath catch. "You're stronger than he ever gave you credit for. Smarter, too." I lifted my chin. "Don't mistake survival for strength." A faint smile ghosted across his lips. "Survival is strength. And tonight yours may depend on trusting me." The rest of the day passed in uneasy limbo. Rosa tended to Lily, who perked up under the doctor's medication, her laughter echoing faintly through the halls as she discovered the koi pond in the gardens. Watching her toss bits of food into the water, I felt a rush of gratitude and guilt in equal measure. Gratitude that she was safe, guilt that it had taken the shadow of a feared Mafia single dad to provide it. By dusk, the mansion shifted. Men I hadn't seen before appeared in tailored suits, murmuring into earpieces, moving with military precision. The air itself seemed to hum with tension. I put Lily to bed early, her fever broken but her small body still tired. She clutched Mr. Bunny close, whispering sleep-slurred questions. "Mommy, will Daddy come?" My heart fractured. "Maybe," I said softly. "But no matter what, you're safe." When her breathing evened out, I stepped into the sitting room. Moretti was waiting, suited again in black, the air of danger wrapped around him like a second skin. "It's time," he said simply. "You're sure he'll come?" My voice was barely above a whisper. "He'll come," Moretti said. "Men like Daniel can't resist control slipping through their fingers. He'll come for you. For her." I wanted to argue, to scream, to demand why my life had twisted into this nightmare. Instead, I just nodded. "Be careful," I murmured. His expression softened for the briefest moment, then hardened again. "Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone but me or Rosa, understand?" I swallowed hard and nodded. At the threshold, he paused. "Elena?" "Yes?" His blue eyes held mine, unflinching. "No matter what happens tonight, your daughter is untouchable." I swear it. The door closed behind him with a finality that left me shaking. I slid the lock in place and returned to Lily's bedside, watching her small body curled around her toy. Somewhere across the city, Daniel was walking into a trap. And I was left in gilded captivity, wondering if tomorrow would bring freedom or another prison. The mansion was quiet. Too quiet. Every tick of the ornate clock on the wall seemed deafening as I sat in the suite, waiting. Lily slept soundly in the bedroom, her fever gone, her breath even and soft. I, on the other hand, couldn't stop pacing. Somewhere across the city, Daniel was walking into the trap I'd set. My stomach churned at the thought of what that meant, what Moretti and his men might do to him. When the knock finally came, it wasn't Moretti. It was Rosa. Calm as ever, she carried a tray with tea and a covered dish. "You should eat," she said, setting it down. "I can't." She regarded me with that sharp maternal gaze of hers. "You'll need your strength. Tonight will not be easy." Before I could ask what she meant, the phone on the desk buzzed. Rosa picked it up, listened, then handed it to me. "Elena." His voice was steady, deliberate. "Moretti?" "It's begun," he said. "Stay with your daughter. I'll update you when it's over." The line went dead. I sank into a chair, staring at the untouched food. Minutes stretched into hours, each one heavier than the last. I drifted in and out of fitful dozes, jerking awake at every sound. It was after midnight when the door finally opened again. Moretti stepped inside, jacket gone, white shirt stained dark along the sleeve. I refused to look too closely at the marks. "It's done," he said simply. I stood so quickly the chair scraped against the floor. "Daniel?" "Alive. For now." His face revealed nothing, but his eyes burned with a cold fire. He would persuaded to cooperate. Relief and dread twisted in my chest. He was alive. But what that meant for him and for us was unclear. "The flash drive?" I asked, recovered, along with all copies. "My operations are secure again." He loosened his tie, a strangely human gesture after the ruthless aura he carried. "You and your daughter are safe now." From him, from the Russians, from all of it, my knees wobbled. I gripped the edge of the table. "So what happens now?" "Now," he said, eyes locked on mine, "we honor our agreement. New identities are being arranged. By this time tomorrow, Elena and Lily Rivera will no longer exist." I exhaled, shaky, torn between relief and despair. Disappearing meant safety. but it also meant erasing everything we'd ever known. And after that? I whispered. That would be safest, he said. Then after a pause, unless you'd prefer an alternative, I frowned. What alternative? He stepped closer, his presence overwhelming but not menacing. Stay, not as a guest, not as a prisoner. As something else, my heart pounded. Why? His jaw flexed, his voice low but unwavering. Because in less than 2 days, you've shown more courage, intelligence, and loyalty than most people in my world. Because I protect what's mine, and I find myself reluctant to let you go. The words should have terrified me. Instead, they ignited something I hadn't felt in years. To be wanted, valued, seen. I can't answer that tonight, I admitted. Too much has happened. Of course, he said, stepping back, restoring the space between us. The offer remains. Think about it. Whatever you decide, tomorrow brings new beginnings. When he left, the room felt emptier than it had before. I returned to Lily's bedside, brushing curls from her forehead as she slept peacefully. A new beginning, safety, or something far more dangerous. The next morning dawned pink and gold over the mansion's gardens. Rosa brought breakfast to the suite, Lily delighted with pancakes and hot chocolate. For her, this was already an adventure. A vacation. For me, it was a crossroad. The path to disappearing forever, or to stepping into Moretti's world fully. I had no answers yet. Only a certainty that one mistaken text had changed everything, and nothing would ever be the same again. The morning light painted the mansion in warmth, but it felt deceptive, like a stage set, too perfect to be real. I stood at the window watching Lily chase butterflies across the manicured lawn. For the first time in months, her laughter carried without a trace of weakness. She looked free, and yet I'd never felt more trapped. Rosa entered quietly, setting fresh linens on the bed. The arrangements are ready, she said, her tone brisk as if discussing something as ordinary as laundry. New passports, documents, enough money to start over. Mr. Moretti has been thorough. I turned, clutching the curtain. And if I refuse? Her sharp eyes softened just a fraction. Then you must decide if you wish to remain. But either way, you cannot return to the life you had. That door is closed. I knew she was right. Our old apartment. The overdue rent. The cracked radiator. The nights spent counting pills and pennies. That life had crumbled the moment I hit send on the wrong text. The door opened again and Moretti entered. No suit this time, dark jeans and a simple sweater. Yet he still carried himself like a king among men. He dismissed Rosa with a nod and she vanished silently. Elena, he said, his voice gentler than I'd ever heard it. It's time. Time for what? To disappear? He studied me, then glanced toward the garden where Lily twirled in the sunlight. Time to choose. I crossed my arms, trying to mask the storm inside me. And if I walk away? If I take the documents and vanish? Then you vanish, he said simply. I'll honor my word. You and Lily will be safe. No one will ever find you. And if I stay? The corner of his mouth curved, not quite a smile. Then you join me. Not as a pawn, not as a prisoner, as family. I told you, Elena, I protect what's mine, and whether you realize it yet or not, you and your daughter have become mine. The word should have chilled me. Instead, it sent a strange warmth spiraling through my chest. You don't even know me, I whispered. His gaze was steady, unwavering. I know you're a woman who stood between me and danger to protect her child. I know you're clever enough to negotiate with a man like me when most would crumble. I know you've endured betrayal and still put your daughter first. That is enough. Tears stung my eyes. For years, Daniel had made me feel small, invisible, unworthy. And here stood a feared Mafia single dad, offering not just protection but something dangerously close to belonging. I shook my head, trying to clear the fog of emotions. I can't decide this now. You don't have to, he said softly. Take the day, think. But by tonight, the choice must be made. The day passed in fragments. I tried to soak in every detail. The way Lily's laughter echoed in the marble halls. The way Rosa fussed over her with unexpected tenderness. The way Moretti's men moved like shadows, ever watchful but never intrusive. By afternoon, a sleek envelope appeared on the desk in the suite. Inside, 2 passports, 2 tickets, enough cash to build a new life anywhere. I stared at them for what felt like hours. Freedom, an escape from danger, a chance to start over. But freedom also meant leaving behind the man who had kept us alive. That night, after Lily fell asleep with Mr. Flopsy tucked under her arm, I found Moretti in his study. He stood by the window, city lights glowing in the distance. "Well?" he asked without turning. My hands trembled as I set the envelope on his desk. "If I leave, we'll always be running, looking over our shoulders. She deserves better than that." Finally, he faced me. His eyes burned like blue fire. "And if you stay?" I swallowed hard. "Then you keep your word. You protect her. You protect us. And you don't ever use her as a pawn." His jaw tightened, then relaxed. "On my life," he vowed. "She will never be touched by this world." I exhaled, relief and terror mingling. "Then I stay." The silence between us stretched, charged, unspoken truths swirling in the air. Finally, he stepped closer, close enough that I could feel the warmth radiating from him, the quiet gravity that pulled me in. "You've just altered both our lives, Elena," he murmured. "One text changed everything. But this choice? This changes more." And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like prey caught in a trap. I felt like I'd stepped willingly into a future I couldn't yet see. And perhaps, in time, something far greater than survival. As I held Lily close, I couldn't help but think back to that single desperate text, the mistake that had rewritten our lives forever. A wrong number that led not to danger but to protection, and maybe even destiny. Thank you so much for joining me for this story. If you enjoyed She Texts the Mafia Single Dad by Mistake, please don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more thrilling tales. Your comments mean the world to me. Let me know your thoughts and what kind of stories you'd love to see next. Until next time, keep imagining, keep believing, and stay mysterious.